All right, and we are rolling. We're not live, but we're rolling. What's up, guys? You're back here for another segment of Brockway's Vinyl Bites. And this is a really cool one we got going on here today. We are going to be doing the wheel, the spinny wheel, and we're going to be ranking classic prog albums on a tier list. Pretty cool. So we got a couple of faces that you might know, especially if you watch the Prog Corner, but we got two people here who are brand new to Brockway's Vinyl Bites. And it's kind of a surprise that it's been that long. But as it is, we've got Mr. Ian B. about. How you doing, Ian?
Good. How you doing, Cody? Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you on. And the same for the headmaster of Prog Radio, Mr. Kevin Carmody. How you doing, you absolute legend?
I'm doing great. You're right. It's surprising it's gone this long. I mean, you do a show for me every single week. I'm glad I could finally make an appearance here, Cody.
Every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern, progradio.com. You get Tower O'Reilly and I, the Prog couple, two halves of the whole Prog couple, as I say. And if you guys have been watching the channel for any length of time, it has been a long time, but he's back at long last. You got Mr. Keyboard Wizard, Matt Brown, down underneath me here. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing okay. Thank you for having me back, Cody. Good to see all of you.
Of course, of course. Glad to have you guys. What a great team we've got assembled here. So what we're doing today is we have taken some of the most top of the pile prog albums of so many different decades. I mean, mostly leaning towards the 70s, right? But as you can see on the wheel here, some of the classics, we got Merillion, we got Supertramp, Van der Graaf Generator, we got Kansas, we got Pink Floyd, Dream Theater, Tool, lots of different things from all over the prog sphere. And so there's a couple of little rules here that we're going to have to tend to. We'll just get some of those advertisements off. Thank you very much. So as you can see, we've got the tier lists here. And what we're going to be doing is we're not going to be keeping any more albums than 3 in each list. So each person is going to get to go a couple of times. And we got 15 albums here to rank through. So basically, we'll start off when I'm done explaining this. We'll start off with Ian. I'll spin the wheel for him and he'll tell me where to put the album on the tier list. And like I said, there can only be 3 in each one. So S is like best and D is like least best but still amazing, you know, as I'm editing here.
Least best hate mail.
Yeah, we don't want any negative. We don't want those comments. That's not happening here. But yeah, so we're going to start off with Ian, and basically every person's going to get a turn. And of course, at one point, you can swap one turn to make a transition on the board. So say if I've gone ahead and put Dream Theater up too high for your liking, you can switch it out for another album and another placement on the board, because you know I'm going to put that high because I love that album. But we're going to start now with Ian. I hope everyone's clear on the rules and what's happening here. So, Ian, are you ready to rock?
I'm ready.
You're ready to rock. All right, we're going to spin for you.
Woo.
Oh, nice one.
All right, I got Voyage of the Acolyte. So this is fun because this is an album that I had on vinyl like 10 or so years ago, and I didn't really get into it all that much, but I started listening to it this week in preparation. And the first time I heard it, I was like, man, I love those first couple of songs. And it's like, I'm not sure about the rest of it. I went back to it and it's starting to grow on me a little bit more. I don't think that this is, I want to say this is kind of a B tier for me, because I don't think it's up to the level of, say, Selling England by the Pound, which is, I think, an associated album, given that Mike Rutherford, Phil Collins appear, as well as, of course, Steve Hackett. So yeah, it's like a solid B tier for me.
Okay, all right, okay, respectable. Yeah, I mean, looking at the other albums here, it's going to be really hard because albums that we thought were like the top of the pile, it's like, oh well, hold on a second, maybe we got to reconsider. And so that's a good start. And I want to say to the people, none of these are bad albums.
No, they're not.
Best.
and a lot of it's personal taste. And something that I'm concerned about is that I'm automatically going to rank albums that I'm less familiar with lower.
Yeah.
Because I haven't taken the time with them. And I feel like Voyage of the Acolyte is one that if I had 10 or 15 years, of life invested in this thing, I might like it a lot more. But still, the main ingredient for Genesis for me, and you guys are free to argue, but the main ingredient is Tony Banks. And he's not present here.
Yeah, and especially if you had him trading off with Steve Hackett like you do on the
Yes.
early albums, I mean, stuff like Entangled from Train of Thought, Jesus, Dream Theater on the Head, Trick of the Tail, just really brilliant stuff. And but yeah, solid. I'm not sure where I would have placed this actually because I really like this album a lot. But yeah, solid start for sure. Now, Kevin, are you ready to rock and
Oh,
roll?
I'm ready.
Oh, yeah, you're
See,
ready.
I kind of have them ranked in my mind, and by the time we're done, I guarantee you they're not going to be where I have them because we're all going to have opinions here.
I have ideas of what should be in S and A in my head.
Yeah, same here.
Let's
Yeah.
see what you get. Woo!
Oh yeah, there's an easy one. Oh, those two easy ones. I don't
Almost.
even care which one you land on. Those are two easy ones.
Oh,
Okay, that's a no-brainer. That's it. What's the top one? What do you call it?
S.
S.
S. Straight to S in my mind.
Yeah.
My favorite band of all time are the Beatles. My favorite prog band is Genesis, and certainly this is one of their best albums. So that's a no-brainer for me. Not even close.
That's to me, that's my favorite Genesis album. So yeah.
Probably
that was-
Foxtrot for me, but certainly this is probably my second favorite.
That was going to be landing in S by the end of this video, no matter what.
Yeah, I'm thinking so. It's the one thing we probably will all agree on.
Yeah.
I got an easy one. That was nice.
yeah.
All right, Mr. Matt Brown, are you ready to roll?
I'm ready to roll.
Here we go. What are you going to get?
Deep breath here. Again.
Oh,
Ooh.
Keyboardist Delight.
Yeah, that's a good one for him.
That's a great one. That is a really, really great one. And I'll tell you right now, because of so many different things, this is a hard one to place. But thankfully, we're dealing with tiers of excellence, and we're not dealing with like, oh, it's awful, I don't like it.
Yeah, no.
I'm sure there. Well, I need to put that. I have my reasons. It's a brilliant, brilliant record. Some days it's my favorite ELP record, which will probably surprise a lot of people since it was their first one out of the gate. And of course, they did some amazing things afterwards. But I'm gonna have to put that because of the competition that it is in the A category.
Nice one.
But
I concur.
I love that record. So that's not a diss in any way, shape, or form.
That's my favorite Emerson, Lake and Palmer record, I think.
Yeah.
Just the way it's got all the solos on it and everything. I don't mind sitting through Tank.
No.
It's very creative. I mean, and it's not over long, although he could have made it longer. And I'm a drummer as well, as Cody is too. And I love a good drum solo. I don't love them all the time. I think there's a time and a place, but Palmer did a beautiful job on that. I mean, there's no question about it. The people heard that and went, okay, yeah, this guy's deservedly one of the best, especially in this era,
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And he was one of the nicest guys I ever got to meet too. So there's that.
You met Keith.
No, I met
Carl.
Carl, yeah.
My bad. Yeah.
And he came with Asia and Yes about 6 years ago to Budweiser stage in Toronto. And he was so cool. I just got to fanboy, and he was awesome. Okay, so great placement of that. That would have been a hard one. That's a really hard one to work with. But let's see. It's my turn now. Let's see what we got.
Right.
He's gonna rig it with the Dream Theater. Here we go. If that goes on Dream Theater, we know it's rigged. Oh yeah.
Almost
choose carefully, Cody.
Yes.
Ooh.
Brick is a brick. This one's an easy one. We all know. I mean, the first time I heard this record, it's absolutely blew my mind. I'm gonna have to put this in S tier because it's just
That's the right choice.
It's totally brilliant. It is my favorite Jethro Tull album. Yeah. Look at Kevin coming at us with the cool theatrics and things like that. Jethro Tull, yeah, it just, the first time I heard that record, I was working at Tim Hortons, and a friend of mine who was not into prog, like his favorite bands were like, he loved Pink Floyd, but also was into like Blink-182 and things like that. So pretty sort of different, right? But he was pretty obsessed with this record. And I had a friend in high school that was into this album a lot. So it's like, oh, I'll check this out. And I went home one night and put it on my stereo and just went, Oh my God. This is absolute. I'd already heard Aqualung at this point. So I was already knew who Jethro Tull was, but then hearing this was just like, wow, what is going on here? This is absolutely insane. So yeah, Thick as a Brick, S tier for me. Now we're gonna go back to Ian.
All right.
I may use my turn just to move Thick as a Brick, slide it over in front of Selling England.
You can.
Oh, I get Octopus. I just listened to this last night. Sweet.
I love that record too.
I got it over here somewhere.
Yeah, I've got a copy across the room. I don't want to get it though.
Yeah.
Although I could show my autographed copy of it.
Well, yeah, please do.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me grab that.
I'm gonna make you big for a second then, so we can see this.
All right.
I don't know how to do the Scott Lade thing and make your panel the biggest one.
Yeah, that's definitely a setting. It's like you have those 3 dots or something, and there you go. I'm huge. I'm like the Wizard of Oz.
Hello.
I'm the Wiz.
So on the front here, we have an autograph from Mr. Roger Dean, who I met at Nearfest in 2012. And then if you go for the booklet, which I will carefully extract, Cody's going to edit this out.
No, I was actually just thinking, here comes a wave of viewers.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And it is signed by the entire band. I think even Phil signed, but definitely Ray, because Ray was still around. Roger signed again. He insisted upon signing twice.
There's some money right there probably on eBay.
Well, the
whole band.
It's more of a kind of.
Oh yeah, I'm not saying you do sell it, but I'm saying that's a rare thing to have them all on there.
Well, the funny thing is that it wasn't expensive at the time. It was like $20 and imported from the UK, and you got all their signatures. And I went and I met Roger Dean, and he says, "How did you ever get them to sign it all? They hate each other." And I was like, "Wait a minute. Does he mean yes? Is he talking about yes? Because that's more of a yes thing."
Yeah, that's or a Deep Purple thing.
They're like the most militant peace and love band ever. Yes.
Yeah.
I think a lot of that is to do with Steve Howe, but we won't get into that. But that's a great collector's piece there, man. I just felt the viewership rise right there. That's awesome, man. That's so cool that you have that. So where do you want to rank it on your list here?
Oh, geez. Well, okay. There are so many S tier. There's like half of this list is S tier. And I don't want to get something bumped. So I'm going to put it in A. And, I'm tempted to put it in S tier because this is such a phenomenal record. And what makes Gentle Giant fun is that they take the music seriously, but they don't necessarily take themselves too seriously. And there's always this air of fun and exuberance for music making and creation and inventiveness, that it's a thread that runs through pretty much up through The Missing Piece in 1977. So, and I think this is their best album, Octopus.
Yeah, probably.
There's just not a bad song on this thing. And it's so good. It's so creative. It's so enjoyable.
Think of Me with Kindness.
Yeah, it's a beautiful tune.
Yeah, I think Lloyd Webber stole that, by the way, for his Phantom Think of Me song. He said he stole a song one day in his career. He would never say what it was. That's my sneaky suspicion.
Who stole it?
Andrew Lloyd Webber. Go listen to Phantom. He has that song Think of Me.
Oh, right.
Is, it's a little bit different, but kind of a vibe. So anyway.
Well, he stole Echoes too. So
maybe that was the one he was talking about. Because he did say, I did plagiarize somebody, but he wouldn't say who it was. But
it's probably Echoes.
Could be then.
Well,
yeah, Roger wasn't too happy about that.
Well, that's a great placement here. I'm really liking the way this is coming along. I can't really argue with any of it.
Yeah.
So we're going to go next with Kevin. All right.
So far, these have lined up pretty well for what I would have done.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Heavy hitter here.
Yeah, this is where my colors show a little bit. Obviously, an amazing album, but I'm not the biggest metal guy. So
you saw them live, right?
I've seen them live. Amazing. You'd think that would convert you right over, and it does. Other than you got these other bands in front of it for me. So I hate to say it, but that's going down to the D for me.
Down to the D.
You guys can feel free to move that up. But that's where, for me, and again, it's nothing dissing on it by any stretch. I mean, I still had to put 3 albums in the D in my mind, but it's just which ones do you love a little bit more?
Yeah, that's why I put these albums here, because it would be so hard to place them all. You know what I mean? And so I was just trying to see what I could stretch, and what I could put you guys through. What can I say?
Yes, like I mean, am I going to knock Genesis or Jethro Tull or anything for Tool? No, I'm not going to. But not to say it's not a great album.
But I love this album. I don't think I would put it in D tier personally. I might bump it up to C, or even B. But it's an unfamiliarity thing. I heard it a long time ago, and then not again until this week. But I listened to this thing twice in like one sitting, and I could not believe how good it was. So I like this album a lot.
Well,
yeah,
and
it's like an 80-minute album too. Yeah,
as a drummer, to me, that's Tool is that drum sound.
Oh yeah,
it's just so. I don't know anybody can get it like that between their production guys that they use and just the sound on that.
Yeah,
that's for me what they're all about.
It's a wonderfully produced album at a time when the loudness wars were kind of ruining everything. And so for that, it really stands out to me. But it's kind of like Alice in Chains if they grew up on Tall or something, or King Crimson, because when I hear Danny Carey, I hear Bill Bruford. But I also hear like a little bit of like the German rock school of like Jackie Leibezit and Can, like in the repetitions. So I think that Tool album, Lateralis, is an amazing record, especially for the time.
And you guys mentioned about the production, which is really cool. That was produced by David Bottrell, who he did some production work for Peter Gabriel, and he lives about 25 minutes away from me.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, he lives in Dundas, Ontario, which is at best a half-hour drive.
Yeah, well, he gets a lot of credit for the sound that they have there.
And the dude who mastered it, like, worked on Avalon or something like that. I was looking at the mastering guy, and his name escapes me right now, but it was like a really well-known name, I think, for audiophile quality mastering.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Matt Brown, we're going to go with you next. This is going to be hilarious if this lands on Dream Theater, man.
It will be entertaining to say the least.
So let's have a go here and see what you get.
What's the deal? Spin the wheel.
Oh my God!
Oh, you called it, man.
We're
all leaning. Okay.
Are you sure you didn't know about this ahead of time?
I had no idea.
I'm just kidding. Kidding.
It was a 1 in 10 chance.
Well, you know what? Let me start by saying I need to give you, Mr. Brockway, props because regardless of where I put this record, what I'm about to say is kind of important. People have been trying to get me into this band for over 35 years. That's a long time. And I saw them live back in 97, I think. And
yeah, good year to see Dream Theater, I think.
It was the falling into infinity era. And they were on a triple bill with a couple other bands. And my attitude about Dream Theater for a long time was they can play circles around so many other musicians, but it's like licorice. Either like it, like some people really love black licorice and some people are like, oh, get that away from me. And I was one of those people that was kind of frustrated in a way because I was a big fan of every band that they were influenced by. And so I thought, well, logically, this should be right in my wheelhouse. But until more recently, other than a couple of songs, it wasn't. And I'm admittedly still not a huge fan, but I've been at least partially converted. And I have to give Cody a lot of the credit for that because, he and I are buddies and he knows my tastes and I know his tastes. And he was really calculated. Sounds like a Dr. Evil word. I don't mean it like that, but or maybe I do. $1 million. But he was like, you know what? I think he would like feed me tunes and say, I think this might be more your speed. Everyone else failed in that quest. And I swear to God, it's true. You can ask my ex-wife; she'll tell you. Anyway, I'm never going to be a huge fan of Dream Theater, but I really appreciate them more than I used to. That said, I'm not running into the same problem that that Kevin was running into when it comes to where to put this. And I know it's going to get moved around. For the moment, I have to put it in the D category with a caveat because it
D.
great stuff. Like I'd love to pull me on and I like surrounded and take the time. And I've spent a lot more time with this band than I probably ever have. Like I'd say in the last couple of years, I've listened to them more than in the previous 30. And I find a lot to appreciate about them. And I would rank it higher if we were going to be doing more than 3 in one place. And I'm not just saying that. I actually do mean that. So, and I know it's going to get moved. Totally cool. We're going to have some fun with the jockeying. Cody's making us work on a Saturday. I mean, but we're going to make him work too.
Well, I started because I appeared on Scott's live stream a couple weeks ago, and there was that guy Kiefer who was talking about, Dream Theater is our future and all this other stuff. And I started thinking about what he said. And I remembered that when I was a young progressive rock fan, a musician, I was in the band, and Dream Theater came across, came into my world via the Score concert, the one with the live orchestra.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, these guys can really, really play. And it was at a time in the mid 2000s when bands weren't being rewarded for being good musicians. The audiences weren't necessarily there. And here's this band that were really successful, and they're fantastic musicians. And so I really loved them for a time, and I collected all of their music. And to me, they're an important band because they're a stepping stone back into discovering 70s prog, because here I'm listening to Octavarium and James Labrie sings about Supper's Ready. And I'm like, well, what's he talking about Supper's Ready? So I go to my Google and suddenly I'm listening to Foxtrot.
Yeah.
So I think that for me, I would maybe put Dream Theater in the C tier just because I think they're an important band in the, continuing interest in those older prog records. But otherwise, I largely agree with you, Matt. Like, I used to really like them, but it's a band that I've kind of moved on from in a lot of ways. But revisiting this album this week, I was impressed by like Metropolis. There's another like Take the Time is pretty decent. Surrounded, Under a Glass Moon. Obviously, Pull Me Under is a classic. The drawbacks for me are the vocals. The vocals are something that I have trouble connecting with, and I don't think that like sort of the slower songs, they don't grab me as quite as much as like the big epics do.
Right. So like Another Day versus Learning to Live or something like that. Yeah. And then there's the issue of the production. I'm guessing that, later albums were produced much differently, but this sounds very early 90s, and the drums. And the thing is like Mike Portnoy is one of the best. He's just top of the shelf, and a great guy too. But he sounds programmed to me on this album. Like all of his parts sound so mathematically perfected that there's something a little bit off-putting about it. It's the triggers.
Yeah, the triggers.
Problem too, and that was before I knew it was triggered. It just something sounded artificial to me.
Right.
I mean, of course, I first heard them when Images and Words was new, and I was about 19, 20 years old, and by that time I had completely taken a left turn from the music that was popular when I was in middle school and high school, which I still loved. Bands like The Police, U2, AM, stuff like that. And I took this hard left into the magical rabbit hole of classic rock and progressive music. Most of it recorded without a click. And, it was a very, very different time. And so hearing this so precise, and I was a huge Rush fan, and I still am, but it was too precise.
Right.
And I was something that had a little bit more humanity sounding. I want to say that I discovered that when I was getting into this band a few years ago, there's a compilation record that remixed some of the words and took out the triggers.
Interesting. I was wondering about that.
Natural. Like, I wish they'd do that with the whole record, honestly.
Well, that's a problem that they fixed. Sorry, Matt.
They fix it like have they ever come out with a full version of that album?
They did a live version, right? Like early 90s. Didn't they do a live concert video of this?
Yeah. And again in 2017 with Mike Mangini on drums, they went back and they played the whole album live. And they never used that production. I don't think they ever used David Prater again, actually. I think on Awake it was a different guy.
I was going to say, Awake is a little better. Like my memory is that Awake is a much moodier album. It's a little artier, and like Space Divest is unlike anything else in the Dream Theater catalog. Because that's a Derek Sherinian tune, right? And I know we're getting off topic, but
that's a Kevin Moore.
Kevin Moore. My bad. Yeah, Kevin Moore. Yeah,
I dig that.
Yeah. But Awake, I think, is a little more my bag overall.
Yeah. Well, I have to credit Matt Brown in my Dream Theater journey as well. And this is a story that I know he doesn't remember, but I remember it because I'll never forget it. It was a very impactful moment in my music listening. I was sitting in my old house and I was listening to his radio show on Deep Nuggets. And he said to me, because we were talking about Dream Theater and I was just really starting to get into them pretty heavily. And he goes, I'm not a big Dream Theater fan, but here's a song that I'm going to play a song from them that I really like. And it was The Spirit Carries On. And I immediately, when I heard that guitar solo and James hit the high note and the way that Mike Portnoy was following along John Petrucci in the solo, I was floored, man. I was sitting on the couch and it was just like, oh my God, I cannot believe what I'm listening to. I was so excited when you played that song for me, Matt, that I was running around my house going, I think I've just heard the greatest song ever written.
If I'm trying to get anybody into Dream Theater, that's the song I play for them.
That's the one.
I don't care who they are. They're going to say, wow, okay, I got to hear more.
Yeah,
absolutely. That's a great song. So
me too, actually.
And then that launches them into that album, which is also a great album. So,
Yeah. And I used to have that shirt, Cody. So that's, I'm a Dream Theater fan, sort of.
I know. I'm going to take a spin now.
All right.
Actually, yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm going to do this. Here we go.
Woo. Ooh.
The drummer's dream. Here we go. All these are very drum centric, aren't they?
Nah.
You could tell who picked this list. I'm going to put this album, as much as it means to me, I think this is a really phenomenal record, and it's one of Bruford's shining moments. It's one of the shining moments of the entire King Crimson and progressive rock catalog. I mean, it's so iconic that even Scott Lade took the middle part of it and made that thumbnail for the Prog Corner, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to, as much as I want to put it in A or S, that's a hard placement because of the other albums that are here. So it's going to have to go in B for me.
I agree. Great album, but what are you going to do?
I would personally, I would put that above the ELP. And I would put it above the Voyage of the Acolyte. I actually did listen to this one and Octopus back to back last night. And we're talking about last night, Ian. Today, Ian might be different, but last night, Ian preferred Octopus slightly.
Oh, you were having a night last night, eh?
What's that?
You were having some night last night.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think I listened to like 4 of these.
Well, that's my placement for it, and I know it will get moved. I've got something that I'm going to move probably too, and so we'll just see where we go from here.
Okay.
Remove, and we will go with Ian.
See, it's like the white elephant thing. You're saving that switch till the very end because you don't want to run out of it when they switch it on you.
Yeah. All right. So, Ian, you're coming up next. What do we got here? Let's see. Okay.
Oh, yay. I love this one.
Oh.
Yeah, this is a great album.
This is another one I heard last night.
Wow. You heard a lot of music last night.
I got lucky.
Not only that, but you were hearing a lot of very weighty music last night.
Yeah, but this is some of my favorite music too. Okay. So I can't bump until the end, right?
You can bump whenever you want.
Because I can do it once.
But we did the spin already, so you might as well.
I'm going to put this in B, and with the caveat that I prefer it to the Hackett. I prefer it to ELP. I don't think I prefer it to King Crimson, to Lark Songs and Aspect. But man, Van der Graaf Generator are an exercise in let's take all of the things that you think you know about rock music, like a hairy, loud guitar player, a grooving bass player, and let's just chuck them to the bin and get this wild histrionic singer, like ultra dramatic singer. Get this sax player who's like part electrician, and you've got a keyboard player who's an engineering genius as well, and a drummer and Guy Evans who's almost like a free jazz drummer who's been stuck in a rock band, and you get one of the most unique and challenging, and I think, as Kevin said, one of the most weighty progressive rock bands. Now, This isn't my favorite Van der Graaf Generator album. A House with No Door is a song that I could lose. I don't care for it that much.
Right,
but it's like, and I don't, you might have to edit this, but it's like somebody dropped acid around track 3. And the rest of the album is just like further, it's like it's too far out, it's too far in, as they would say on a later record. But it just progressively gets more and more on another plane of reality, starting with Emperor in his War Room. And you got Fripp. Fripp shows up and plays a little guitar in that, which is beautiful. But I absolutely love this album.
So you don't like Lost very much?
I adore Lost.
Oh,
It's just for me, like, well, it starts with Killer, that is the song. If you want to turn somebody onto Van der Graaf Generator, show them that song because it's very accessible. You have this like Beethoven type vamp and schizophrenic saxophone screeching from Dave Jackson, who's a lovely guy, by the way. I met him a few years ago, and I'm working with him right now. Lost is a great, like, it's almost like a jazz thing. It's like a 60s jazz thing, with a bit of, again, the histrionics. My favorite song is Pioneers Over Sea. Touch with My Mind, I Have No Frame. That's so trippy, man.
I find parts of this to be very influenced by the Mothers of Invention.
Yes, especially the ending. The very ending of Pioneers Over Sea is very Mothers to me.
Yeah, a lot of this album has a lot of that sort of Frank Zappa-ish feeling. It's
like Zappa and Arthur Brown. Ish. And
all those things.
Arthur Brown was a huge influence on Peter Hamill. But yeah, I don't love it as much as Selling England by the Pound. I don't love it quite as much as Octopus or Thick as a Brick. And I don't love it as much as Lark's Tongues. But for me, it's definitely above Acolyte and ELP. But you guys are welcome to disagree.
Right. Okay. Well, all right. Okay. Fair enough. All right. So yeah, I'm happy with the way this is going so far. Great pick. And that's a great album. We're going to take that off and then we're going to let Kevin go.
All right. I hope it lands on a certain one and not on a certain one because I don't want the hate mail.
Well,
oh, no. Keep going. See, I wanted Dark Side of the Moon and I did not want Rush.
And this is what I didn't want.
Yeah. Well, Cody probably knows where I'm putting this one. I'm going to put it there and you guys can move it around. But of all 15 of these albums, this is my least favorite of all 15 of them.
Really?
Yeah. I just never was the hugest Rush guy. And I think it was Geddy Lee's voice. Always kind of didn't get past it. And so I didn't listen to a lot of Rush. It was the one of the big prog bands that I never kind of got into. And I've gotten into a lot more now. And I've discovered a lot of the Rush that doesn't have Geddy sounding always the same, that high-pitched sound. But again, I'll take Tool over it. I'll take all of these over that Rush album. So I'm going to put it in the D and you guys can move it around. I did not want this one. I knew this was going to happen. Here comes the hate mail.
Is there a specific someone responsible for possibly influencing your taste?
Cody, you've got me going. You got me into them more. And, when you do prog radio, of course, we play a lot of Rush because you're not going to not play it. And so as I listen to it more and more and more, and I actually found a lot of stuff that I really do like. So I'm definitely warmed up. But do I like it more than Tool? No. Do I like it more than Van der Graaf Generator? No. Do I like it more than Steve Hackett? No.
Interesting.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's bad. It's just I like these other things better.
Yeah. I heard Moving Pictures this morning, and it's in my opinion one of the great albums. But there's simply Rush records I like better than this one. And personally, my favorite Rush records are the two with the PW. Power Windows and Permanent Waves are my picks.
Oh yeah, okay.
But I was like, this one, the two PW albums.
Yeah, nice.
P Waves and P Win. I personally I would have this one a lot higher, but that's just me.
Well, now Matt Brown has the hardest seat to sit on in the house because look at the last 5 here.
I know. This is just great. Right, here we go.
Ooh, I see 2 or 3 that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see 4 that I absolutely love.
Yeah.
I see 5 that I absolutely love.
Well, I see 15. Well, 14 that I absolutely love.
So Matt, you have an option here. Do you want to swap one on the board, or do you want to?
No. this time I'm gonna spin.
Okay, we're gonna
Again, I think it's that
we're
white
gonna
elephant
spin, Jerry.
thing.
We're gonna spin.
You just
swap
change
next-
it, and then somebody swaps it right back.
I'll swap next time. I'm gonna spin this time.
Starting to feel like an XTC song here.
This
Complicated game.
Save ball and chain. Oh yeah.
You got Dark Side of the Moon.
You got Dark Side of the Moon. Okay.
That's
Okay.
the one I wanted. I didn't want that Rush album.
See, those two are equal for me. Like Moving Pictures and Dark. Like I like them about the same.
Ouch,
Yeah.
you're hurting my soul here.
And I love them. Like they're two really important albums for me.
Dark Side. It really cannot go anywhere else but the top tier.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
It's iconic, not only in this genre of music or flavor of ice cream, as I like to call it. Because that's really what this is, right? You got mint chip, you got rocky road, you got strawberry, you got vanilla, you got chocolate, you got cookie dough. We're talking about different flavors of ice cream here when you really break it down.
They're not comparable.
No, in a way they're not. Now, what flavor do I want today?
Compare this to Tool.
Yeah, you can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, this is what I do is I go, okay, if I wake up tomorrow and one of these albums, I can never hear it ever again. I'm not putting Dark Side of the Moon on that list. You know, there will be others, you know. And so that's what, because they're all great albums. But if you just think, but do I like it? If I had to choose which one to never hear again, Dark Side, like you can lock down that A tier, that top tier in my mind.
Yeah.
Yes and no, but we'll get because I love all those records too. But yeah, Dark Side is just from an engineering standpoint, from a conceptual standpoint, from a songwriting standpoint, from a packaging standpoint. I mean, every way you slice it, it is perfect. And Cody knows this about me. I'm a huge pre-Dark Side Floyd fan. When Nick Mason put his band together, I finally got to see them, and it was one of the best things I've ever been to. And I was a little young to see them in the day, so I saw the Waters-less Floyd, and I saw Waters by himself, and I saw
Dehydrated.
Yeah,
Dehydrated Floyd.
and I love that era. But Dark Side is it's the culmination of everything they were working towards. Nothing was ever the same after it. It's perfect. It's absolutely.
And I think for just the average person, that is a very important album to a lot of people. I mean, if you go ask the average guy on the street, they don't know Lark's Tongue. They don't know even maybe Emerson, Lake and Palmer stuff. Well, they'll know those couple of hit songs, but they're all going to know Dark Flood. They owned it. They love it. So it's an important album, no doubt about it.
Absolutely. I would have put it in S too.
Yeah. One funny note I want to mention, because the first Floyd I got into was The Wall, and I was very young. I was probably 10 years old at the time. But I remember I was working at a record store underage because they were just paying me in credit. It was my little small town that I live in. And the night before we were going to close the store, oddly enough, it was the same week we're going to close the store. It was my birthday. And guy who was working there brought this album in on CD. This was like 1985. Puts it on. And I'd been listening to FM radio at that point for a few years. The crazy thing was I knew every one of those songs, and I loved every one of those songs, but I didn't know they were all by the same band and on the same record, because in those days, FM radio assumed you knew all the Zeppelin songs and the Floyd songs and the Beatles songs. They didn't tell you. They just played them. And I just, as the record's playing, like he gets to Great Gig, and I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I bought it. I went out the next day. It was a.
I think what gets thrown at this album a lot is people throw the I'm tired of hearing it thing. Like, I don't ever need to hear that album again.
Right.
And my experience has been exactly the opposite, because the older that I get and the more I grow with this album, the more emotionally resonant it becomes. And tracks like Time and Us and Them, there's like a certain point in my life when they started becoming like such emotionally moving pieces of music, that it's like I have to be prepared. Like I literally have to prepare myself to sit down and listen to this. And there's a handful of other Pink Floyd albums too that are I have that same experience with.
Yeah.
But this one, it grows with you, man. This is one. This is a lifetime
couple of days
record.
ago, I was doing some work and I had my earbuds in and I was listening to Prog radio, and the Brain Damage, that whole ending came on.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking nothing has ever been written this good ever, since. And it just is so iconic. It's so, I feel that way a lot about a lot of the Beatles music, that I'm just like, this is magic. This came from, where did this come from? It's just so elevated and so magical. And that's definitely Pink Floyd's Dark Side for me. And I love The Wall. It's a phenomenal album, but Dark Side's something special there.
For sure. Yeah. I agree. And every time there's a new sort of updated listening format, whether it's surround sound or Dolby Atmos, this or that, Dark Side is always kind of at the top of the pile in pushing technology further, even 50 years on. And honestly, I know there's a lot of records on this list that are like that. Rush's Moving Pictures has been one of those records as well because of the production values on it, just the way Dark Side of the Moon was. So you guys kind of covered it all. I can't add too much commentary on that, but I
mean, all the laser shows they did for years and years just to this music, because it was just so wonderful.
Sure.
Well, I know what my next turn is going to be, and I'm not. What's that?
I think we all do.
It's not going to be spinning the wheel. There's something that I just, and see, that's the problem here, as we got close to the edge to deal with, and Misplaced Childhood and all this, but there's one that I have to move. And Matt Brown, I love you to bits, brother. I'm sorry, but I gotta I had to put that in there, man. I had to knock the Dream Theater up. I'm sorry.
Oh, no need to.
And sorry to Ian, I knocked.
Yeah, but he's out of turn, so you can knock it right back down.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, that's true. But then I might have to just, in spite, knock it back up one more.
This is my show. I'll do what I want.
No, I'm kidding. Ian, do you want to move one on the board, or do you want to take a spin?
I'm considering it. I think I might save my move for the next one, because I think I know what I want to move. And I'm not going to move your Dream Theater. But no, I think I'll take one more spin.
You can move it if you want. But yeah, okay, fair enough.
No, I won't do that to you, man. Then it'll just become back and forth,
I'm sorry, man. I had to do that.
Sure.
Okay. This is an easy one for me.
Great album.
It is a great album. But I'm going to put it in C tier.
I agree.
Yeah. Because... well, other than just bumping the Vandergraaf down to C tier, none of us has embraced the C tier. And for me, this isn't on a level of the Vandergraaf album even, or for that matter, Moving Pictures. I think Moving Pictures is a lot better record than Misplaced Childhood. In fact, my favorite Merillion album is Clutching at Straws, the one that's after it. Now, that being said, judged purely on its own merits, I think Misplaced Childhood is an absolute triumph, especially considering that this record came out in 1985. And it's a fully fledged concept album that has, again, much like The Dark Side of the Moon, a ton of emotional resonance. And I think that is Fish's strength as a songwriter, is that he was able to do very conceptual music, but he never forgot the human element. And that part where he's whisper screaming childhood, if that don't raise the goosebumps, I don't know what will. So I was a late bloomer with this album. The first time I heard it, and I was like in my cuneiform Universe Zero phase, loving Magma and stuff like that. I remember being like, ooh, keep that away. It's pop. Kaylee, don't like that. But now this is one that I love to just throw on and get lost in. And the way it was recorded is brilliant. Like, they had been touring this album, and they just sat up in the studio and pretty much played the whole first side down in one take. So that segue from Pseudo Silk Kimono into Kaylee is totally live. And you really feel that, especially in the surround mix. You just feel like you're a fly on the wall of the studio. So no, I rank this as a C tier, but I do think this is a really, really strong album.
I didn't know that about them recording it live. And I have a very similar trajectory with Merillion like you did. I was already a Genesis fan, and then I heard them and I went, oh, what's this?
Yeah.
I don't want anything. But then years since, then it's like, then I heard some of the Hogarth stuff, and then went back to the Fish stuff and went, okay, this is brilliant. I don't know what I was thinking the first time around, but I'm over that.
Well, Steve Rothery's guitar playing is, to me, he transcends beyond, like, I think it's really easy to say he's a Gilmour clone or something like that, but it's also very lazy to say that, because he's very much his own thing.
Yeah.
you don't appear on stage with Steve Hackett and just be someone who's just a, you know.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
He's so
he's got something to add.
Yeah, he's so very, it's incredible.
He is. He's a great player. Misplaced Childhood. Okay, that was a good one. So now
I'm going to take 5. Be right. You guys go ahead.
Sure thing, man. I think this is going to be relatively easy from this point on, with the last 3 that we got. So Kevin,
you may be surprised.
Yeah.
oh boy. Okay. All right. What do we want to do, Kevin?
I want to spin.
You want to spin?
Yeah, and I'm hoping it doesn't land on a certain one.
Well, you got 33.
Yeah, I got a 66% chance it won't. All right. Okay.
Is that the one you hoped it would?
No, I didn't want it to land on close to the edge. Yeah, because I mean, obviously, brilliant album, phenomenal album. But just other bands I like better than Yes. That sounds weird, I know, but it's just true. It's, I'll take Genesis and Jethro Tull and Pink Floyd and Emerson, Lake and Palmer and even Gentle Giant almost in a way. I mean, obviously the sheer volume of material from Yes is going to tip them ahead of some of these bands, but song for song, there's other stuff I kind of like. So this one,
It's hard.
That's hard because I probably would have put it in B. And so now I have to decide. I'm not putting it in A, so I'm gonna have to put it in C.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's a pretty decent C tier here, I gotta say.
Yeah, well, it's a decent D tier.
They're all. That's the crazy.
Yeah, I know, that's the hard part. Okay, so that's
work too hard.
So, Mr. Matt, what do you want to do? Do you want to move one, or do you want to? What you want to do?
Two great albums left.
I know.
And only a D slot for one of those. Oh, geez, that's an injustice for sure.
Yeah. Well, I have to do at least one thing. I'm actually going to take my.
Could he do this, Cody? Can he spin and decide to swap it where he puts it?
Oh,
I'd allow it.
Yeah, I think that would be the way to do it.
All right, then let's do that.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah, so we can say, I want to put it here. I'm going to move this out of there to somewhere else.
Okay.
Quiet.
Much as it hurts, I have to do. Can I do a swap at the same time, or do I just have to put it somewhere?
You can do a swap at the same time. We'll let it.
But I think the swap has to go to an open slot, right? Otherwise, you're moving like 4 things around.
Yeah. I have to move Thick to the A tier and put close to the edge.
Wow.
I do.
I would do the opposite, but okay, cool.
Okay. I'm glad I saved my swap.
I was thinking the same thing, man.
I mean, I'm a massive Tell fan. I listen to them more now than I have in a long time, but this album was so life-changing for me. And in some ways it still is. So I really, it's a masterpiece. There's just no other way to that, but that's the thing. We're dealing with a whole bunch of records here that are all just top shelf. I mean, in some ways, you pretty much picked most of the best albums of all of these groups. I mean, we can niggle over those details, and rightfully so. But yeah, there's everything on this record it's like Dark Side of the Moon for me. Every note on this record is right where it needs to be, and it's such an emotional experience. In addition to the just words kind of, as you can hear, words kind of fail me. I can't really express this one. This album goes right through me, so I had to,
It does for me too. It has a lot of personal history with me, and of course my dad used to listen to this all the time when I was growing up, and so this has a lot of meaning to me as well.
See, and Cody, I'm sorry to interrupt.
It's okay, boss. Go ahead.
Oh, my bad. I was just going to say that's my experience with Thick as a Brick.
Yeah,
is my dad was playing Thick as a Brick like in the background as I was growing up, and so it's so hard for me to choose Close to the Edge over that. But let's just say, time traveler interferes and gives my dad a copy of the Close to the Edge instead. Would I feel that way about Close to the Edge? Probably. You know what I mean? Like, so it's just a familiarity thing. I didn't really start to love Close to the Edge until the past 5 or 6 years.
Yeah.
But I do love it. Like, I enthusiastically love it.
Yeah, and I think it's not even just the familiarity, because we could get an album that we'd never heard and over 3 years just listen to it like crazy. It's what was going on in your life when you were exposed to something. And that was me with Thick as a Brick. You know, I'm a little young kid, you know, like a freshman in high school, and I discover this album and just devour it and devour and devour it. And so it's in every fiber of my being. So a lot of it, and these are all great, classic, amazing albums. And a lot of it is going to be, when did you discover it? What was going on in your life? How did it impact you?
Yep.
So it's no diss on any of the albums for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I think this guy is happy with that outcome.
Oh, yeah?
Who is it? Who is it? Oh, it's Chris Squire. Okay.
Chris, of course.
The acoustic guitar threw me off.
We got one more. I wonder what it's going to be.
If anyone was listening.
Nice work there. We're on a train to nowhere.
Oh, good one. Okay. So this is another one that has a lot of personal meaning to me as well, because
that will be a crime of the century if that goes in that bottom spot.
Right.
This is one that my mom liked a lot.
Mine too. Interesting.
And she loved Supertramp. I still love Supertramp. She loves this record. She says this is their best record, and it probably is. So I don't know. For Mom, maybe I'll do what I did for Matt Brown, and I'll take one thing that's in the C and move it down one.
I'm kind of surprised about this Kansas placement, because I missed that conversation, but I'm surprised, because that's sort of how I feel too.
I got it, and I wanted to put it in B, but there was no spot, so I either had to put it in A or C.
Yeah.
So it found its way in C, and now Cody's like, "Wow, between this one, where does it end up?"
I'll fill up that last D spot there. I mean, we got Rush and D, so you know.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy. Even I agree, that's a little crazy.
That's the crime.
Who put that there?
Okay, so that seems to be the final.
I didn't get a swap, Cody. I never got.
Yeah, I want to swap.
Okay, let's let everyone.
Yeah, Ian and I never got a. Yeah, we saved it. See, we know how white elephants work.
Yeah. Okay, so let's do a swap now that the board is full. Let's let Ian go. We'll do a quick swap, and then we'll do one.
I'm going to take the Dream Theater. No, sorry. I'm going to take my pick, the Voyage of the Acolyte, and I want to swap it with Van der Graaf Generator.
Okay.
Okay.
Ooh, okay.
All right.
That's just a me thing. You guys can argue about it if you want to take it down, but that's just my preference, because that's a really important album for me. H to HE, Hydrogen to Helium, who am the only one. That's a really big album for me.
That's a happy. I'm just happy that Dream Theater's up in the B now. We can have Van der Graaf back, no problem. It's cool. And you know what? The thing about this is, if I didn't have the rules, I would hands down put that Dream Theater in A or S. Sure. But it's because of everything else that's here. I made this so hard, man. Oh,
well, and it's tough comparing, like, the little more. Again, we call it modern. It's so many years old, but compared to those really classics,
yeah,
it's just almost like sacrilege a little bit. Like, as great as the Dream Theater and the Tool albums are, it just feels a little sacrilegious in a weird sort of way to bump it ahead of some of these classic albums.
Well, they were influenced by the ones that are higher on the list. They wouldn't exist without.
Yeah, right. Mike Portnoy would say, "Don't you dare put that Dream Theater album above Jethro Tull." You know, he would agree.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Okay, do I get the last swap, Cody?
You get the last swap, my boss.
And I'm gonna apologize a little bit, but with this swap, my top 6 picks are right where I wanted them the whole time, and I'm gonna swap Thick as a Brick and Close to the Edge.
I agree with that.
And now my top 6. Chef's kiss.
Let me just say this, Kevin. You're wrong about Rush, but you're right about Jethro Tull.
I do feel a little bad about Rush. I would even switch Rush, probably. I feel bad about that one. Yeah, that album doesn't belong down there. I agree.
No,
we should all agree where to swap that one up.
I would swap it with the Emerson, Lake and Palmer if it were me.
No, I wouldn't do that one, though.
That's me, though.
This is quite the list, and I don't know if I expected it to turn out this way, but I got to say I'm still happy with it because I love these records. And what about you guys?
Should we do this real quick? Go to each tier and just by show of hands, put them in the order within that tier. So like the top tier, who thinks Selling England should be the first one? Raise your hand. Okay.
So but like in the first tier or number one?
Yeah. So within those three in the first tier, who would put Selling England?
This is the greatest album on this list, is what he's saying, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So my vote will go to Thick as a Brick.
That's mine
Cody?
as well.
Okay, so we got 2 for Thick as a Brick. Cody, which would you put?
I have to, because Dark Side of the Moon is one of those monumental records, but I have heard it so many times and I still love it every time I listen to it. But I don't know. I mean, this is a hard one.
I think the way it looks is about how I feel.
Matt, how about you?
All Floyd and Genesis.
Yeah, I mean, of those three, I would have Dark Side first and Thick as a Brick third, but they're also damn good. It's hard to argue. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
Who would agree to switch Selling England and Dark Side? Anybody? See, I would agree to that.
I could agree to that.
I'm just trying to get the consensus for at least those top 3. Then we kind of say, hey, these is where we landed.
I prefer Dark Side to Selling England. But again,
so I think we were 6s. I think we were Cody and I went one way and Matt and Ian went the other way.
So it's a tie.
It's Cody's show. So I see where it ended up.
So let's work on A now. Let's work on A and see what we got.
The democratic process in a nutshell.
I like that how it is. That's just me.
No, for me.
Yeah, you guys are going to move close to the edge over, I'm sure.
Up the 2 bookends. I would go yes, GG, ELP, but that's me.
where I would sit.
I'm okay with that too.
Yeah, I would sit there.
Right.
As long as yes is number 1, I don't mind. I don't
even you wouldn't move a yes into that top tier over those 3 though, would you, Cody? I know you wouldn't over probably Selling England.
Yeah, I would have. Yeah,
interesting.
Just it's an S tier. True. But so are the 3 that we have up there. If it was 4 that we allowed in the S tier, yes, would be up there.
Yeah. Okay.
Agreed.
So B, I'd go Lark's Tongue first, but that's me.
I would too. Lark's Tongue's HDHE and Dream Theater.
Yep, that would be me.
That'd be my order.
All right, so we've got at least 3 people voting for Lark's Tongues to be number 1. I can't. All right, well, because I moved the album, I'll let you do.
I'm less care about the last 2, but Lark's for me definitely would come before those 2.
Let me put it this way: if Dream Theater hired Peter Hamill as a singer, I would like him better.
Oh wow, I could get it.
Although it would be really weird. It'd be really strange.
James LeBrie.
Yeah.
And C.
I might swap Acolyte and Left Overture.
Maybe.
Yeah, what do you guys think about that?
I'm 50-50 on that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But Left Overture is the album I'm least familiar with on the entire list. So it's a little unfair.
Did you like it?
I like some of it. Like the Cheyenne Anthem, I thought was the best track. Like I thought that was really something special. But again, like the issue I had with Kansas is that once again, the music is really strong, but the vocalist doesn't connect with me. And the other issue I had was that the music, while strong, seemed to reference a lot of English progressive rock bands to my ear. And, but then again, like the fact that they're, recording in, didn't they do it in like Louisiana or something like that? Like, how does a prog band come out of that circumstance, like a swamp in Louisiana? So there is like that amazing thing. But for this kind of music, I think I would rank something like Crack the Sky above Kansas.
I think for me with Kansas, as much as I love them and they were huge for me growing up, I devoured all those albums. They have a little bit of a sameness to them.
Yeah.
Not quite as much variety from album to album to me.
Yeah.
So that's why they've always been a little bit down the list for me compared to some of the other bands.
There's a lot of Gentle Giant, like pastiches on Left Overture to my ears. So it's like, I don't know. I'd rather listen to Gentle Giant.
Fair enough. So for the C section, sorry, I'm still a teenager in my head. I'm gonna have to take a liberty here and put the Hackett album.
I'm okay with that.
If I spent more time with it, I'd probably like it a lot better than I do. Honestly, I just need more time with it.
Yeah. Are we happy with the C section? So Steve for 1 and Merillion and
sure.
Okay, now the D section.
I'd move Crime to the front of that, but that's just me. And of course, Rush. Who's going?
I think Crime is in the middle for me.
Yeah, Tool at the end.
And let me just say that Crime of the Century and Rush, I think, would be higher on my personal list because I love both of those records.
Crime for sure would be on mine.
Supertramp over Tool. What are we doing?
So you like Roger Hodgson and not Geddy Lee? That's strange.
Well, yeah.
Because Roger Hodgson.
I actually do. It's
when I hear Supertramp, I picture Pinky from Pinky and the Brain for some reason. It makes it a little better for me, actually.
Wow.
There we have it, folks. There is the ranking right there. There it is.
And let the hate mail commence.
On Brockway's Vinyl.
We love them all.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just for fun.
Thank you guys for coming and being on the panel. We'll talk about doing something again because I really like this lineup and like this format. And maybe Tara will join us next time. But yeah, thank you guys so much for coming.
You should do this with the modern albums now,
Oh, yeah.
These are a lot of classic. I would totally do a modern one too.
Or yeah, more of a mixture, like half classic, half more modern. Because I'm much less versed in modern prog.
Same.
Well, I'm already working on, in my head, I'm thinking about what we can do for modern. I mean, I got Damnation sitting on the turntable over there. So
here's an idea. You could solicit us for picks.
Yeah, we could do that.
Yeah.
We could do 3 or 5 each.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll do that. Would you guys like that? I know you'd like that. You viewers.
I'm going to type a comment in the imaginary comment section. More Frank Zappa next time, Cody.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Where's Joe's Garage, Cody?
Well, I want to say thank you to Ian, Kevin, and Matt for coming on here and being part of today's episode. This has been another segment of Brockway's Vinyl Bites. Don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a cool comment and all that fun stuff. And we'll see you next time right here. Rock on!